What's good, family? It's your boy Zay-P, Zay-P the I am. I am that I am, as you are that you are, for we are all that we are. From the individual to the many, from the many is the all, for the all is one. So I'm feeling pretty connected to energy today. I know I haven't been around in a little while, but I felt a need to come through, drop a message, show some love. So let's just get right to it. So I'm feeling connected with Archangel Michael, and he is called forth to speak and deliver a message upon the idea of sovereignty. Welcome, dear ones. Today, I, Archangel Michael, want to come and join you to deliver a message of hope and a message of newfound renewal for all of the masses on this plane, in this spectrum. The message that I want to deliver to you today is the message of sovereignty. We come into this plane of existence knowing and hearing of the idea of free will. Free will for the essence of who you are. Yet in the reality of the situation, when you come and you incarnate here on this physical plane, most times you feel as though, regardless of all of the talk and lip service to the idea of free will and the idea of freedom, most of the time, many individuals feel confined and trapped. They feel relegated to the idea that all things happening within their life is happening to them, as opposed to happening through them, or in more ideal sense, happening for them. See, there's a lot of new ideas entering in the collective consciousness recently. The idea of law of attraction, the idea that you can create your reality, the idea that you have the power and the ability to manifest that which you desire. All of these ideas are true to the extent that the individual is willing to allow themselves to believe. Not just to think it or pay lip service to, but to truly believe, to resonate from an emotional basis where these truths become innately part of the essence of who you are. But it's very hard and it's very difficult to get to that place where one can accept these truths into the essence of their being, because they've been conditioned by society into believing that they are at the mercy, victims, and at sway of all of the external forces, stimuli, and events. Little do they know, little do you know, that all of the external forces, stimuli, and events all happen due to you, due to your own light, due to your own polarity, due to your own belief systems. You see, your light calls upon a specific frequency of darkness that your light may be defined by. You cannot say, I am the light, and know yourself as the light when you're surrounded by light. Therefore, there are some levels of dark circumstance, of dark energy, of denser, unknown frequencies that can be attracted and called forth by your light so that you may know your light, so that you may learn how to flex your light, how to enhance your light, how to increase the spectrum that your light may reach. Without the difficulties, without the contrast of certain frequencies of darkness, it is difficult to understand what your unique, authentic, individual light is. It is hard to understand what that light is. It is hard to understand what your frequency is. It is hard to understand what you are meant to reflect, what you are meant to express, what you are meant to embody. But those darker frequencies are not for you to get lost within. However, because of the collective consciousness of the world, the global mass collective, the amount of darkness has been heightened to allow all the members to be conditioned into believing in an external source, an external power outside of themselves. You see, if all of this darkness comes to us that is beyond what we've called for in our experience, if all this darkness comes to us that is beyond our knowing and understanding, well, then it seems as though the world is happening to us, as opposed to the world being created by us, and these experiences coming forth that we may exercise our light. Once you understand the frequency of your life, of your lights, then you are able to enhance and spread that light throughout your life, dispelling any darker energies. And when I say darker energies, I am not speaking of dark as evil. Dark simply means the unknown, that which is different or unlike to oneself. And it is not that it is specifically unlike to oneself, but because it is unknown, it is considered different until it becomes known. And so that which is unknown comes to us that we may know ourselves. And in the knowing of ourselves and in the defining of our light, we cast the light that dispels the darkness. It dispels the confusion, the unknownness. Those things of the dark finally can become known to us. But that can only happen when we decide to empower ourselves, when we decide to take back our sovereignty. See, much talk is given to the idea of the victim mentality. The victim mentality of your world runs rampant because the victim mentality is an expression of fear-based beliefs. See, one only fears what one does not know. And what one does not know, one fears, therefore one pushes it away. One chooses to believe that it is something external to oneself. And therefore, if it is something external to oneself, then it is something that one is at the mercy of. It is something that one can be a victim to. So when one feels disempowered or disillusioned or simply unsure and unknowing of their own light, then that unknowingness and the shadows caused by the darkness around them seem to take over, seem to take a level of power that is taken away from us, the individual, and thus makes us victims. But the truth is, you are not a victim. We've called forth these circumstances that you may understand yourself better. And when you deem you no longer need to understand such lessons, or you no longer need to revisit such lessons, when you deem you know thyself, not just when you deem consciously or verbally, but when you truly, intuitively, intrinsically go within and know thyself, one starts to realize that no external circumstances, external triggers, external sources have any true power over us, the individual. You are a sovereign being. And that means you are always at cause for all that happens in your world. We speak of cause and effect, but the truth about cause and effect is that you are the great cause. You are the cause of all that has happened, is happening, and will happen in your life. It's already happened from a certain perspective. But from your perspective, in a linear fashion, the future has not happened, the past has already happened. The present moment is where you sit. The present moment is always where you sit. Where you sit is where all of your power, all of your sovereignty lies. When we look back to the past at what was, and we pawn off our power, explaining away the things that we dealt with, blaming others, being victim to circumstances, we are choosing to be victims. We are choosing to not be sovereign. We are choosing, even in the story that we tell, to have detachment from our own experience, to have detachment from our own power, to have detachment from our source, to be detached from ourselves. But when we look back and we empower ourselves and we tell ourselves these things happen simply because they happened, simply because there were opportunities for me to experience something that I can learn about myself, we empower our experiences. We empower the instances and the occurrences that have happened throughout our lives. We empower ourselves and we take back our sovereign nature. In this present moment of now that you sit, all of your power for future growth resides here with you now. So many feel that, oh, I have no choice. I have no choice in this and that. But there is always a choice. Even if it is a hard choice, even if it is a difficult choice, even if it is a choice that may sound scary and unknown, a choice that may seem like it is impossible to make, therefore it's not actually a choice, there is still always a choice. People always justify their lives based on the ways of the world. Well, the world is this way. I need money for this. I need money for that. And because it is that way, I must settle for a job because there's no other options for me. But the truth is, there's always other options for you. The truth is, you do not need to pursue money to have the things that you wish in your life. Most people simply want happiness, freedom to experience, freedom to express, freedom to be. But we get so caught up and convoluted, lost in arguments of politics, race, of circumstance, of employment, of education, we tend to lose track of the truth. That life is about the experience. That life is about your being life. You are life itself. Life experiencing life through your unique perspective. And so with that said, there is always a choice. One does not have to choose to settle for some job simply because one believes that one needs money. One could choose not to settle for a job. One could choose to continue striving even though one may feel as though they're struggling. One can choose to simply opt out of the game. One can choose to be bold and say, hey, worst case scenario, I'll die in the streets. But I'd rather die in the streets living the life that I wish than live a life that is false, where I'm miserable and suffering for the rest of my experience. Making a choice like that is a very scary thing to do. But what would happen? What would happen if one said, I refuse to settle? One fears the greatest unknown, the idea of death. When one faces such a fear and decides to not allow that fear to limit it, decides to come from a place of love and override that fear. Love thyself enough not to settle, to love thyself enough not to do anything that is not in accord with your authentic, unique expression and experience of who you are, the life that you are choosing to create. What would happen? Would you die in the street? Perhaps. And perhaps that choice would lead you to a whole new plethora of options, a whole new possibility for what you can create in your life. For when one is unwilling to settle for what fear has, one has no choice but to rise up to what love has. It is all a sovereign choice. Every moment is a sovereign decision. Every experience is an opportunity to flex and be sovereign, to be freedom, to be free, to express your free will. But how many are willing to make the choices that seem scariest? The same choices that lead to the most growth. The most growth being the growth of oneself, the growth of one's soul, the growth in one's own connection to the divine, and the growth in that expression coming out in your everyday world. One is bold enough to face your fears and not be victim to the fears. One steps into their own sovereignty. And in stepping to their own sovereignty, a whole world and wealth of opportunity opened up before you. Is there a possibility that one can fall on your face and perhaps suffer or experience some pain, experience even death? That is possible. Thus the leap of faith. For what good is life? What good is this gift if it is not to be lived for yourselves, for your own experience, on your terms, in the way that you wish? And this is not to say go out there and be irresponsible or be callous or not care about others. You see, the thing about living a sovereign life, being a sovereign being, being connected with oneself and connected with the divine and connected with all that is, so that one can manifest true abundance. When one steps into this place, one realizes and sees the interconnectedness of it all. One realizes and sees that everything else around them is simply a reflection of self. And that all of one's actions, expressions, outpouring of energy has ripple effects throughout all of reality. But if it is all part of the self, then one's desire to take care of the self will eventually and ultimately outpour to the entirety of the all. For the all is one. So, this message is to step into your sovereignty, to be bold and make the fearless choice. The fearless choice is the choice of love. The choice of love, love for self, love for life, love for that connection between you and the divine, for you are the divine. It need not be severed to walk through this reality. Rather, if you hold on to that connection, if you cultivate that connection, then walking through this reality becomes a beautiful, easy, effortless, fun, and exciting experience. One where you're empowered. One where you are the source for yourself and then for others. One where you live a life of harmonious authenticity, which leads to an authentic expression rippling throughout all of reality. It serves the betterment of all. And not just the self-serving, selfish betterment for just the individual, but ultimately, rising tides will raise all ships. Therefore, this energy, the energy of Archangel Michael, invites you in 2020, the year of sovereignty, to own your strength, to own your power, and make the fearless choice, the choice of love, true love, unconditional love, for yourself and for the world. Do not be a victim, for you are not a victim. You are God's, goddesses all. You are part of the divine. You are divinely blessed as such. To say I am only human is a fallacy. To be human is to be God. Therefore, own your godliness. Shine your light. Be your unique, authentic self. Stop settling for fear. Stop living victim-based lives. Rise up to love. Be bold. For that's what this experience is about. The bold choices. The end of your days. Don't you want to look back and say to yourself that you had the courage to be bold, to live your life on your terms, and to have the most beautiful experience you've had yet incarnating on this plane? That's what this journey is all about. And that's what you're invited to do. Step into your sovereignty. And with that, I wish you farewell. I bless you with much love, much abundance, much prosperity. Whew. Okay, so sovereignty. Yeah, sovereignty. It's not as easy as it may sound, but these are lessons that come through to me daily as of late, and that I'm working with, and my life has vastly improved since all of this has happened, since my awakening, since connecting with spirit, since connecting with energy, since channeling the divine. My life just continues to improve and improve, and the momentum continues to build and build and snowball. So these things work for me. Take what works for you, leave what doesn't. And be sure to hit like, subscribe. Come check me out on Facebook, facebook.com/I am Zay-P. Check out the coaching and mentorship program. We are bringing tools to the masses for you to learn how to connect with yourselves, how to embody these new energies, how to bring in these new information, and how to transform your lives in a way that's practical, how to bring in all of this divine information that's coming in these days, and how to apply it in a way that's not wrecking your lives, and that you can start to see the benefits and the transformations and the abundance that is all around you for you to receive. So definitely hit the Facebook page, come check me out, book a reading, sign up for coaching or mentorship program. All of that's going to be listed on the page. It's your boy Zay. Peace and blessings. I'm out.